Welcome back to the channel, and as you can probably tell, this isn't my shop. If you're a subscriber to the channel, you may have seen some recent videos I published where I was machining a cast iron straight edge. Ron Grundy, who you may have been introduced to through Keith Rucker's YouTube channel, a former Kearney and Trecker employee, invited me and a couple of other guys up to his home shop on the outskirts of Milwaukee to learn a little bit about hand scraping. Ron has probably forgotten more about machine scraping than I'll ever have the opportunity to learn. But when he offered to put on this little impromptu class, I jumped at the opportunity. There was no way I was going to let this pass by. Along with myself, Ron has also invited Kevin, who I've met through Facebook and the K&T Facebook page, as well as Kyle Vanover from Vanover Customs. And if you aren't familiar with his YouTube channel, you got to check it out. I put a link down in the description. And Ron is quite the storyteller. He's got quite a few to share. So the remainder of this video is not going to have a lot of narration. It's just going to be listening a little bit to what Ron is going to be teaching us, and then we'll get a little bit into the scraping itself.
Okay, what I was going to do is first give you a little background of who I am. You guys might have seen me on with Keith Rucker. 30 years of doing this stuff, and now kind of doing it for a hobby and kind of kind of doing it for fun. And I just enjoy showing guys, and everybody will say, oh, you know this, you know that. Well, we don't know everything. Um, so when it comes to hand scraping, and that's what we're going to talk about a bit today is hand scraping. And there's really no right or wrong way. I mean, I see guys scrape with their arms. I see them scrape from the hip. I've seen them scrape holding a scraper straight up and down and pulling it back and forth. I've seen them hold a scraper straight up and down and hit it with a mallet. So there's all different ways. But the reason, what's the reason that we scrape at all? When you look at a machine tool when it comes out of the factory, when it's first machined, in order to keep that, the two surfaces running together, you'll have a flat surface here and another flat surface on top of it, just like that. If you run them both together, you slide that back and forth.
They'll stick.
You get that motion going back and forth, and you have no lubrication or anything under there. Pretty soon, she's going to be done. So you got lubrication going underneath there. You've got your hand scraping. You're generally, you might have this piece, maybe it may be hardened, but generally it's you'd have a piece of cast iron here, hardened on the top, or vice versa, or you may have tercite under there. There's all kinds of variations that go on. So what we're doing when we're hand scraping is we're taking a flat, whatever, and we're scraping. We're making our scrape indentations there, and we're trying to get say we're trying to get a divot in there, maybe four thousandths, 4/10, half a thousand deep. We're trying to get that in there so that when this other piece rolls over the top of this, and you've got a little area here that's got oil in it, and I'm talking about a very small area that's got lubrication in it. If there's any debris or anything in there, that'll fall down in there, and the theory is to wash it out of there. You want to wash it out of there, and that's what you're doing when you're scraping. You're running those two pieces together, And just like my hands are cupped here, when I've got that little piece in my hand, and it rolls out of there, we're trying to wash it out of there and clean it. I mean, that's the theory behind this. So when we're scraping, we've got a flat surface, we've got a high spot, high spot, high spot, high spot, and we're using our straight edge or whatever we're using, to make that look like we've got the high spots on there. When we come along with the theory behind this, and it always doesn't work, is the theory is when you scrape this high spot off, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 all around it. That's the way it's supposed to work. Doesn't always work that way, I mean, you'll scrape away. You'll see when you start hand scraping how that actually does. Now our straight edge, you see them laying all over the place here, I mean, we got all kinds of straight edges, and that's what we're using to straighten out, when we scrape our machine, we're using a straight edge. Now when we're scraping, let's just say that this is a straight edge. Okay, and we've marked it maybe on a granite plate or something like that. And here we've got, it's marks like this, here and here and here, and we've got nothing in the middle here. Okay, so we're gonna start, scraping this end, or you can just scrape one end and you can tip it. You got to be careful when you go into your machines. If you're scraping a machine way, this is a flat, say a flat on your Bridgeport or on your Grundy Trekker. Now, what you want to make sure you do is scrape it straight down. Don't try to tip it one way or another, because if you do that, then what happens, here's you got your two ways here. You might get one tip this way, one tip this way. So you've got this. Now when you put your saddle on there, you're going to have a problem, moving it back and forth. So that's what you're kind of working on, getting that and practicing that, and that's about the biggest thing I can tell you guys is that it's a huge amount of practice. I mean, you're not gonna do this in a couple of days of scratching and scraping here. It's gonna be a couple of days of practice, a couple of months, a couple of years maybe. Because like I said, I know the first time I started doing this, they gave me a plate, and it took probably about a month before they said, okay, you can work on a machine now. You can do this on a machine.
One of the reasons why I wanted to do this now is because I'm not ready to scrape anything, and I probably won't be for maybe a year. If I can start learning how to do this now, practice, which is why I'm going to keep probably getting you out of retirement and coming back up here every few months. Maybe in 6 months or a year, I'll be ready to do it on a machine.
Yeah. Well, you can't really hurt the machine. I mean, you can, you gotta be able to think about when you're looking at the machine. If you have a piece of equipment that's really worn out, you have to know how to, maybe scrape the gib to put tercite on it, to do different things when you're rebuilding it. If you buy a machine that's in pretty tough shape, and go to work and rebuild it, there's a lot of methods that you can use to bring it back to standard. That's what we're ultimately trying to do, is get our machine, like this little Grundy Trekker over here. We're trying to get it back to as close as it was when it originally came out of the factory. And over the years, that machine, your knee travel up and down. It doesn't wear as much as your table and saddle, because a milling machine is typically milling left and right. I mean, you don't cut going up and down generally. I mean, you can, but you don't. You know, usually you just move it, position it, and then you're milling left or right or whatever you're doing on the milling part of it. And, you know, the horizontal mills, you know, you got a face mill in there, or you've got you know, a straddle mill, and you're straddle milling, or whatever you're doing with arbors and stuff in there, you know. And the table and saddle is what usually takes most of the wear, you know. So, but you know, you got to look at it in a lot of perspectives with the dovetails and stuff. When you start working on dovetails, you know, you'll have a dovetail. You know, here's where, you know, your wear is on this dovetail. This is the flat up on top. Let's just say that's a flat up on top. And you've got a dovetail here. If you got a lathe or something, you want to make sure you get down in these corners here. What we used to do is take a heavy hacksaw blade and go in there and cut that, make a little necking in that corner, you know, so that when your other piece fits on there, you know, you're positive she's nice, and, you know, it'll fit on there nice. You get a nice slide fit on that, you know. So levels and stuff. I got straight edges here, gibs, so all of this stuff. I've got it set up so you can work on that.
Right.
And you've got your piece, and I think we got somebody else coming here this morning with another piece. Well, the first thing I want to show each one of you guys is, you know, how I do it. You know, how I do my scraping. Now, okay. Let me get my. This is Canadian red lead. This is legal.
It's legal?
Yeah, you can see, and I haven't marked this at all. This, I don't know where I got this, and I was gonna try to straighten it out a little bit. You know, I'll probably take a whole cut on it and then just throw a straight edge on there and see how straight it is. I haven't done anything with it for a long time, so. But this, if I'm, what I'm doing here, I just want to take a good cut through it.
Now you got that handle in the side of your body?
Yep.
In your hip?
Yep. Now this is an old school scraper. This is what you would use for, probably have to tie that end down. This is a blank file, and it's been heat treated. But I'm just going to take a cut right through here, and it's kind of a rough cut. I'm not picking bearing. And you can see little half moons, but a good, you know, if you guys can take a scraper like this and make a nice straight, you know, flat cut like that, you know, you're in business. I'm gonna get the other. This is a Sandvik with a Carbide. Okay. And sometimes I'll need that skid right out of there because I need something to stand on to get a little higher.
Higher.
Yeah.
Why do you flip it? Why do you rotate the tool?
What's that?
I saw you rotate the tool a couple times.
Well, oh, you mean turn it over?
Yeah.
Well, because it's not as sharp as it should be. There. See, I got a little better. That side. This side is not as sharp as the other side. Now, did you guys, either one of you have a scraper?
No, I don't.
I brought pieces of mine. I was waiting for my new handle, and of course it didn't come in time. So I'm sure it'll be there when I get home.
I chose to wait until after this, so I didn't want to go up and buy something when I didn't know what I was looking
Oh,
for.
absolutely. The only reason I've got the handle coming was the same guy I bought that straight edge from. He had a bunch of biax tooling, but I didn't get the biax, but I got the tooling. So
Now, you guys, like I said, you can do like this if it's easier for you. You know, you can scrape like that, and that's just fine. You know, you'll have, and then when you come across it, you know, come back across it this way.
So whatever's comfortable, really.
Yeah, whatever you're comfortable doing, and this works pretty good. You know.
are you hitting pretty much the 45? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I'll come across it the other way.
But if, yeah.
You know. I don't know if you need to stand on that maybe or not.
Well, after a little bit of a demonstration, you know, Ron encouraged me to go ahead and give it a try. So I'll give it a try. This is the first time I have ever tried to scrape anything in my life.
See how easy that is?
Yeah.
It's easy to screw it up.
I see why you put your hip into it now.
So why are my scrape marks so much thinner than yours?
Well, you're just not putting the pressure.
It's
but
pressure?
That's okay. You know, you can't.
I feel like if I put too much pressure on it, it's going to go sliding off and end up stabbing Kevin in the
No, it
gut.
ain't.
Well, what about the angle though? Too, it looked like your angle was a lot lower.
So lower angle?
Maybe. Depends on how, you know.
Oh, I'm a professional scraper now.
Yeah, I mean that's you know, that's where you're starting. I mean, that's how it's gonna be. That's
Yeah,
just
look, anything like
you're
that.
not gonna. It's gonna be a long time before you're there.
So lower angle?
Well, whatever angle is comfortable for you, and I don't know how sharp that. I got some more blades.
One thing I appreciated that Ron was trying to teach us is that there are more than one way to skin a cat. There's more than one way to hold a scraper, and there's lots of different techniques. And you have to kind of work toward what works for you.
Real low. He like putting his body weight on it.
This is why I record it. That way I can go back and watch it over and over and over again.
I just want to see if I can get this a little sharper.
Even his handle.
Yeah, this is old school one.
See how he's putting it in his.
Yeah.
But even the angle's not quite as.
Yeah.
You know, I think originally we were both like this, and you know he's bringing it down more.
Can I try this one?
Let me just run this on the sharpener.
I even like that handle. Like I said, you see all the ones that they've got the vice handles and the file handles. You know, get that big old.
So if I'm standing on the
You get
This.
Yeah, you get
let's see, I'm getting a little bit wider cut. It's so hard to control. But it still doesn't feel like it's in my hip.
Okay, this one's cutting good now. You can try this one.
I'm trying to mimic what you were doing. You had your knees bent.
diamond wheel.
At this point, what I'm trying to do is mimic everything that Ron was trying to show me. And I know that that won't be the way that it ultimately turns out to work for me, but it's at least a starting point.
File it, and that's diamond.
On
your tip, your tool. Now you can just run that tool, literally just.
but that cuts better, right?
Yeah, it cut a lot better.
Yeah.
So what is this made out of? An old file or a file blank?
That's a file blank, yeah. And that was swedged out and heat treated, you know, just put in a brine tank, and can't get them too hard. If you get them too hard, they'll crack. But you got to have them hard enough so they stay
Sharp.
You keep an edge on it. See, you're getting a good, you know, that's what you're looking for. Yeah, see that? That's a nice cut, just like that. That's what you're looking for. And you know, after a while, you'll start being able to pattern it. You know.
How much downward force are you putting with your left hand when doing this?
You know.
Or are you just steadying it? Because I'm not putting that much pressure on it. And it's all in my hips. Everything I'm doing right here is
Pushing the hips.
is just my hip and my knees. This could get exhausting very fast.
I bet. So you're not putting.
I'm not putting a whole lot of downward force on it at all.
You're not putting any here. You're putting it all on your hips.
Yeah.
I don't like that at all.
Not have to go that hard.
Oh, okay. I see. See, I'm thinking you're right. I got too much here now.
See that?
My hand was getting tired.
Yeah.
So how much pressure are you putting here?
Not a lot. Not a lot. Nope, not a lot.
So you're mostly using your hip.
Yeah. See, we get the
half
got
moon.
that more rock or whatever, that twist or whatever.
I need to find me some more cast iron to practice on.
Yeah.
well, sometimes the cast iron is hard too, you know, and you know there's lots of spots where you know it might work harden. You got all kinds of variables here. Some cast iron is really soft. This piece, it's pretty tough.
Even though Ron doesn't do this every day anymore, he certainly still makes it look so effortless. It's like he doesn't even have to think to put the little half moon or fish hook flaking pattern into the part. It just sort of happens for him. Just on the last
Just
bit.
usually on the last, you know. I mean, if you're, you know, you got, say this is really high or it's really high on one end, you know, then I'm gonna try to get it.
You're gonna take a bunch of material off.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to get some material off, you know. Like we should pick up that knee after a while and lay it on a side and scrape the positive side on the knee.
Makes it look easy.
You know, you'll
Only takes 30 years.
Yeah.
Only takes 30 years to get that good, make it look that easy.
yeah. So that's enough scraping for the day.
I can't imagine doing this for 8 hours a day.
Well, you know, I mean, I have a hard time doing it for a long period of time too.
Oh yeah.
Like when I had that column, I laid it right down, you know, and I think I got some pictures on my phone. We were scraping that thing, and I think it took me a couple of days, and I got it relatively flat, you know. Okay, now I made each of you.
Well, in
guys
order to check our work, we need to blue up another reference piece. Ron made each of us a dauber, which is a triangular shaped piece of wood with a piece of leather glued to it. And he's just using that to spread either some Prussian blue or whatever marking dye that you happen to use.
on this angle piece of hardwood. It seems to work really good for me. I see guys use rollers. They use, you know, in days of yore. I'll show you what we used. You don't believe this. I didn't know I had this stuff.
A charcoal? What is that? Tar?
That's lamp black.
Okay.
That's lamp black. this is part of the old apron.
Oh, wow.
Now we're talking 1964. Leo Gazik, when I was working, he said, "I got to show you how to make the lamp black," and I'm like, "The hell is that?" You know, so it's a powder. You put the powder in, and then you mix oil and you stir it all up, and you put a rag on top of it, and you set it under your toolbox for about a week, and then you come back here, and then you dab a little oil in there, and you put it on, and that's what we used.
What do they use it for normally?
Huh?
What would they use it for normally?
Scraping. I mean, we used it for, well, for lamp black.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
You know, I don't know, you know, maybe years ago, I don't know what the hell they would use it for, but that's what we used in the old days, like in the 30s. That's all they used. They didn't have the bluing and stuff. And then maybe in the 50s, they started using bluing and stuff like that. But anyways, we'll mark this and see where we're at. I should have a little longer gib. It's not the correct one, but I want you guys to start hitting the high spots, you know, to learn how to hit the high spots. And when you're marking something, you know, with a gib, you know, see it pivots here and here. That's you want to just lightly, like you were saying, like, yeah.
Don't want to do that.
Yeah, these things can, you know, really give you a false reading. And if you use too much bluing, it's not a good idea either. But I used quite a bit just to show you what this'll do, you know. And it's so it's telling me that this piece is pretty damn flat, you know. You know, we could have a little more out here and a little more out here and some of the areas in here. But now what you're going to do is take, where's that good scraper you got?
This one here?
Oh, Greg's got it.
Right here. Now what you're going to do is, and, you know, we're just going to break up, you know, we're going to break up our high spots. See that? I'm just trying to...
You're just going after the blue?
I'm going after the high spots.
Okay.
You know, I mean... And that's... And what I told you in theory when we first started, you hit one, and there's supposed to be four more on there, you know. And then I see these guys on YouTube, they got a gauge that they put on
square
there,
or
you know.
whatever.
I'm going to tell you something. If this damn thing is flat all the way across with fairly decent bluing, I don't care. You know, I'm going to use it on the back of the knee, or I'm going to use it on the top of the knee, or whatever. If you're going to spend hours and hours and hours and hours trying to straighten out one of these gibs, okay, and then you throw it in the trunk of your car, or
This feels really nice in my hand. This might have to go home with me.
you'll see that it's pretty nice. The blade is good, brand new blade.
What radius is on there?
You don't have to lay real hard on it, you know.
Oh my gosh. This seems harder this way than it was.
I didn't like the crate.
Well, I'm short, so the crate helps me.
You know, if it's good for you and comfortable, but if you can do it this way and you get used to doing it this way,
I'm terrible at
then,
this.
you know, when you're about my age, you'll be going to the chiropractor every week. No, I've been fortunate, you know, so.
I'm sweating.
Is it a little more challenging than you thought?
It's about 100 times more challenging than I thought. I knew it was going to be challenging. I never thought this was going to be easy.
Is this the first time you've done this?
First time I've ever done anything like this.
I have maybe an hour under my belt in total. Not much. I scraped the knee on that machine, but it was real bad. I didn't have any straight edge. I was like, it's probably high in the center or something. You know what I mean? I just scraped it for fun, basically.
The worst thing that happened.
Well,
is I
there's
have
a
to do it
story
again.
that's been told in my family for as long as I can remember, and
Going for broke.
that was how my Uncle Joey taught
That's
my
not gonna
brother
stay.
how to
I
swim.
need something that's gonna
He
hold
picked
this
him
a
up
little
and threw
tighter.
him into the pool. So the story does have a happy ending. My brother didn't sink, he swam.
Nope. I was hoping
And
it would.
it's one of those life lessons, I suppose, that even though maybe it didn't happen to you, that you can take it and run with it. So for things that I may not be all that familiar
Mine is
with,
grown.
I often
Mine
use the
is grown, I should
expression,
say.
I don't mind jumping into the deep end of the pool. Or some pools are deeper than others, but it's kind of how I started getting into machining in the first place. I really didn't know what I was getting myself into when I bought my first lathe.
I have a 2.5
I guess you
year old
could say
granddaughter,
I
so-
jumped in the deep end when I decided to machine a cast iron straight edge that I spent quite a bit of money on. And after only practicing for a little bit on Ron's practice piece, here I am jumping into the deep end of the pool to get started on scraping that straight edge I spent so much time
I'm 50.
getting machined to be ready for this class.
He's got what? He's for 10 minutes of work. Ridiculous. But
Gotta love unions.
yeah. The guy was like 500, and I was like, "Are you kidding me?" I was like, "That's ridiculous." He's like, "We do it by weight." I'm like, "What's the weight of it?" He's like, "I don't know, maybe 2,000 pounds."
Yeah.
I'm like, "It's gonna take 10 minutes." He's like, "Well, we got a forklift here." I'm like, "Look around at this machine shop that's closing. You charge probably 100, 150 bucks an hour. If you charge me that, I would be satisfied. You know, you're gonna take 10 minutes. $100 or something is very generous, but riggers are bad. They're real bad.
Captive audience.
Well, yeah, there's stuff. I mean, it was so close to my shop. I was like, if it's too much money, I'll drag it outside and drive my forklift here in Poland, which would have been a terrible idea. But it was only like 7 minutes from my shop. He was like, "I'll give you a deal. I'll do $250 on this."
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for giving me a deal.
I appreciate it.
Sounds like a good score, though.
Oh, I mean, I was the only one that bid on it. The starting bid was $200, and I bid and I won. That never happens.
I hate when they have the starting bid so high, though.
Oh, I know.
I want the starting bid to be $0.
$0.
Like,
Yeah.
It'd be like eBay.
Do you guys do a lot of auction stuff?
That's usually where I find
What websites do you guys use?
proxy bid, bid spotter.
Bid Spotter, yeah. I've never used
Write them
Proxy.
down. I've never used one. I've heard everybody great stories, but never done one.
Bid Spotter is what I use. I've never used Proxy Bid. Is that how does that compare to Bid Spotter?
It's the same.
It's
Bid-
the same.
Bid-
Same
yeah.
stuff or different?
Same stuff.
Like same auctions or different?
No, different
Oh,
auctions.
Okay, I gotta add that to my list.
Bid spotter, huh?
Oh, I'm bad. I'll go home at night and that's what I'll do. I'll just okay.
You
better get some thick skin, so like
No,
that.
I don't care. Tell me how to do it.
This is pretty amazing.
I made this like last week. I made 2 of these. So
Where did you get this?
that is me being cheap. This is an automotive carbide scraper that I ground in. It has a 5 degree each way. So see what you think. Does it work or not?
Yeah. Yeah, this puppy works. And that's
Did you like the handle? I made it removable in case.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, I make a little shorter or wider, try to make a little shorter or wider, but it looks like it works nice.
The flex is good in that. Like,
Yeah,
okay.
I mean,
I milled out the back to make it.
Right.
That's the problem with it.
and they're like
They're
$100.
$50 each, but $360 if you buy a pack of 5.
Wow. Well, I'm gonna give you guys each a sandbag blade before you go.
Oh.
I'm
So
going.
you can get the Sandvik blades, but you gotta find like a seller on eBay who's willing to like sell them individually. So I couldn't find one, so that's why I bought this. Oh, you got a bunch of them. All right, and that'll probably work with this style.
Yeah, so you make sure you put one in your pocket before you go.
Okay, all right, I appreciate it.
You know, yeah, I didn't realize. I knew they were expensive,
Oh yeah, sure.
but I didn't know.
How expensive?
I like it.
It seemed like it could make a difference. And that's
Hey.
why I made it.
I like it.
Let's start somewhere.
Yeah, and then stone it off good. We'll put some bluing on the granite and mark it. Okay.
Okay.
Now, listen to this. I'm making good coffee, Ron.
Yeah. I'm good. I came prepared. I'm good. I appreciate that.
I have water. Thanks, sir.
Right?
I'm good, thanks.
Huh?
I'm good.
Are you?
Like it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta go get a
One
coffee.
The only thing I don't like.
We got beer in the fridge.
Me is too long.
Okay.
My wife comes down here. I'm drinking beer at this time.
You got long arms.
I'll blame
Me,
you.
It's a
I can
5 o'clock
tuck this
somewhere.
one, and this is about.
Rips.
Yeah.
It's you can't like lean on it gently,
Yeah.
but when you lean on it, you get more like cut.
And I gotta get your paperwork.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
Make sure I don't sue you, right?
That's the same thing. Ah!
Is it because it's sharper?
I think it's gonna be sharper.
Okay.
This is like this is a biax scraper blade for a automated, you know, the power one.
Uh-huh.
But you can put it on a handle. Of course, I just ordered the handle because I can't afford the tire strip and stuff. So you're hot.
See how that's see if it's different. I mean, because I'm using a ghetto blade.
I gotta remind myself to stop gripping so much with my left hand.
Such a touch to this stuff.
This is actually my business, huh?
Yeah, it is, but it's a learning and growing business. This is not part of my business. Not at all. More just like random machining and general fixing and repairing is what I would say more of my business. Not really sure doing this type of thing every week for 2 weeks, or every 2 weeks. So I
What-
have a friend of mine helping with the editing.
How many subscribers you got now?
Oh, I don't know, like 17 or 18,000 or something. You'd be
Yeah.
surprised, like, YouTube is just getting harder and harder to make money.
Well, I'm not interested in making money off of it, although I will take it if they give me some. But I find that making the videos has become as much of a hobby as the machine stuff or the Jeep stuff or the welding and fabricating and and all of this started because I bought a Jeep.
Yeah, it's a, what is it, a TJ? Or?
It's a JK.
That's a JK.
It's a 2014.
3.7 or what's in there?
It's a 3.6.
Or 3.6.
Yeah, so I bought the Jeep. Had no idea what I was getting myself into.
When did you buy it?
August of 2013.
Okay, so you bought it before they got too crazy? Or were they
Oh,
still...
right now the JLs, which is like the 2020s and up, they're too expensive.
Right, that's what I mean. They've always been expensive, but in the last
They're
5 years,
unaffordable
it's
at this point.
It's ridiculous.
So I bought that thing and then decided to go off road with it, which means I needed bigger tires and then I needed to lift it and then I needed to do some welding. So a friend of mine was doing some welding on it for me. That got me interested in welding. So I started watching welding videos, bought a welder, went to welding school. The welding videos turned into machine videos. Bought a lathe, bought a K&T, bought a shaper, bought a Bridgeport, and now I'm here at Ron Grundy's learning how to machine scrape.
Don't you love that progression?
It's like drugs, man.
It is. It's a,
I've never done drugs.
You're missing out.
I must be. Well, I've never been addicted to drugs. Let me rephrase. But this has got to be what it's like. It's just like a gateway to more and more stuff.
I think what I like about this type of stuff is I'm a very hungry person, and because it's so complex, I can just continue to go down the hole.
Yeah.
And I'm just continually fed. Whereas like with other stuff, like even with cars, it's kind of like this, unless you go to the super custom stuff. at some point you just kind of know enough where you're like satisfied. And with this stuff, it's like every week you're like, oh, I don't know that, I don't know that. You know, there's just so much to
That
learn.
leads to that, yeah.
Like you could work 10 years just on one little aspect and master that, and then there's a whole other group of stuff that you could switch to.
Yeah, my trouble with this machining stuff is really you can get yourself going into a lot of different directions at once.
Yeah.
And I've got to be careful that I don't bite off more than I can, you know, have time to chew on, you know. I've got so many projects waiting for me to start. And then Kevin, I'm messaging Kevin on Facebook. He's like, well, Ron wants to do a scraping class.
Sure.
I'm like, oh crap, I gotta buy a scraper or a straight edge now.
Yep. Did you talk to the guy that sells those featherweight ones?
Yeah,
Dennis or whatever?
Yeah, Dennis Foster, yeah.
Yeah, I talked to him on the phone. I almost bought one of his, but it just wasn't long enough.
I haven't talked to him on the phone, but email.
Yeah, I went
email
through eBay,
mostly.
I think.
And there's a really longish thread on Practical Machinist right now that I started.
Okay.
I'm work holding this thing.
Okay.
And he gave me a whole bunch of good advice. Some other people have chimed in, and I actually posted progress photos.
Okay.
And he was like excited to see them because work holding this the way that I did is different than what he would have thought of.
Okay.
So we kind of, because I didn't have like the fancy fixtures that he does, he actually drills the sides of them.
Oh,
and puts rods in, and then he's
like
got
a
these.
rotisserie.
Yeah, he's got a fixture that's like a rotisserie to machine all the faces. I think that's why it took me so long. I spent 2.5 hours one day just trying to get the first setup right.
Oh, that's normal with machine.
But super nice guy. And you know, if you buy it direct from him, he gives you a bit of a discount since he's not paying the eBay fees.
That's good to know. I didn't know that.
I think it's Ron's last hurrah voice, just to let you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said that he's retiring after this.
Yeah.
Well, I will tell you that he said that last time I came up here, which was like a year ago. So
Right.
whatever it's worth.
Well, good. I hope that's
Perfect.
So now
I saw a YouTube video recently in which the creator was scraping in a straight edge, and he went over the one side 31 times. So there's pass number 1.
So is there anything
Don't
special
drop
about
it,
this?
it'll be shorter.
Is there anything special about this?
No, the guys do anything they want. You know what I mean? And it's
So I'm just using a stone here to get rid of any of the burrs that got popped up from the scraping, and then we'll take it over to the surface plate and see what it looks like.
That looks really consistent.
Oh, thanks.
Looks a lot nicer than mine.
I have a good teacher.
It is a nice looking straight edge. I'll say that.
I don't have much to compare it to, but I'm happy with it.
she's going to be a little high in here. Can we? Well, let's put some red lead on it.
It is a concrete dye mixed with oil.
If it works.
How'd you come up with that?
I seen another guy use it. Seemed to work well for him. I figured I'd try it.
If it works, it works.
It's
We'll make
pigment
this-
to dye concrete, and you just mix it with oil.
Like,
So you put the red lead on there just as a way to highlight.
WD-40
I've seen
oil?
people use
Yeah,
that,
so
use that
like-
yellow
like whale
canola. I
oil,
think
or I
Keith uses
use
like that
hydraulic.
yellow
Yeah,
canola.
Yeah, just
they
like a
make
light-
a couple
I
of
guess you could
different
use engine
types.
oil before it got dark.
right.
Something like lighter looking. Mostly because I didn't want to buy lead, you know.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Now we can see it. See it?
Okay, yeah.
Now you see what you got there. Just right along in here, because watch how it pivots on the granite. Assuming this granite is flat, you know. Okay, so we set it on there and just waltz it around lightly. But here, see that?
There. And we want it, what, like a third and
Yeah.
a third?
Now, what we were talking about, you can press that down, and I can make it.
I can make it pivot there, sure.
Yeah, you know, but I like it. You know, it's.
I knew it was going to be high in the. I knew it was going to be high in the center. Just
You know, you're gonna go.
because my Bridgeport, I think, has sag when the table goes to the extreme.
Yeah.
You know, you're gonna go from here to here. You know, just
In
kind
the
of
other direction.
Just kind of pick everything you see.
So should I just go over the whole thing in
No.
that middle this way?
No, just go where your bluing is, you know, and then stone it off again, and then you'll lose a lot of this.
And then
but
eventually
it'll start
to-
moving out, you know.
Okay.
And that's what you're looking for. Yeah, there you go.
So for pass number 2, I am coming across the other direction, but only in that middle part where the blue was most prominent. I also have a light set up here so I can see the shadows and highlights from the scraper marks, and it helps me see where I was before, helps me identify the blue areas a little bit better so I can hit this next pass and make sure I'm staying where I should be staying.
Items, we just get lucky. Did you want to sell that level for $50?
Yeah, I'll double your money.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. It's hinging right in third. Well, it's not surprised. I mean, it's scraped, so I'm sure it's. I'm sure
Yeah,
it's on.
this thing is, you know, next time we'll mark it using this thing.
Okay. Well, that's why I brought it, just to see if it would how to use it and how to do it. So
So pick it through once more, just break it up,
okay.
you know. Here, I'll put it.
Okay.
I'm ready for the plate.
Well, the way it's going, by noon, you guys should be all trained up and out of here.
Yeah. You take the day off tomorrow.
That means it's Yingling time then, right?
I like it.
What's the
What is that? That-
edge?
You want to see this stuff?
Huh?
You want to see this stuff?
Yeah, what is that? Oh, yeah, I think I've seen that somewhere.
I gotta stop gripping so much with my left hand.
It's looking good, though. I mean, I like, you know.
I'm trying to be as methodical as I can be.
You know, you can get by with this, you know. I mean, you don't, even if you got a machine and you do a nice crosshatch like that, all kind of in a pattern, it looks nice. You know, I mean, it's not against the rules. I mean, just because some guys can make fish hook, fish tails and make it look beautiful, it don't mean shit, you know. I mean, it, you know, if you're using this Bridgeport and the table's wobbling back and forth, you know, I mean, you know,
You can only
all
tighten
this
the
stuff
gib
is
so
in-
much.
Yeah, you know, and on these, I've already used a disc grinder to get them, you know, to straighten them out.
A disc grinder?
Yep, when they're, you know, a little, but wear a face mask because that chrome is
Yeah.
poison shit, you know. But you know, if it's really wore out in the center, you know,
Yeah, you know, I mean,
this is only about
Yeah.
2,000ths thick.
most of what I've heard is that with these chrome ways, you have to use acid and get rid of the chrome, and then you scrape it. You grind it and scrape it. You can't really do much with the chrome.
Yeah, my
I've
Bridgeport's
taken
chrome.
that
You
plate.
Can't scrape it, right?
Yeah,
You can't scrape the chrome, no. But like I said, with a disc grinder, and I've made it look like it was scraped.
was it flat?
Yeah,
Well.
I used a plate on it.
I wanted to see his balloon in there.
You should be going this way. That's okay.
This way?
Yeah,
That's all right. I can do that.
yeah. I mean, you're getting there. It's looking good. A little shorter. Try to get a little shorter.
Okay. Half inch. Pitch.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's from my. Here, I'll move it back over here.
Give me a hand. Where are you gonna grab?
You can grab it. Good?
Where are we going with?
We can sit it down.
Here.
Yeah, stone her off good.
I didn't stone it. Look at that. First mistake.
So this is kind of wash, rinse, and repeat here. So this is after the second bluing. So it's spread out the blue area a little bit wider than it was before. So I'm coming back and just widening the scraping area from the center and moving out toward the ends.
No, that didn't work.
I was thinking more like this, just more of a, just to kind of break the edge back on. Because when you in turn,
Oh, let's see.
would you do it round line? Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Just kind of break the edge. You're just gonna flare it back, right? When you use it, a roll over.
Nope. No. No, I don't know.
So we'll have to do more research on that.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Said no.
I sharpened mine with a green wheel.
Green wheel?
That's not recommended, but it's not perfect.
It's
but
cheaper than a carbide grinder, though.
Did you sharpen carbides on a green wheel?
I did, yeah. That's. I mean, you can see it's not perfect, but
So are you just hitting this edge though?
yeah.
Are you rounding it?
What do you think about it, Ron? It's not shiny enough.
Yeah, that looks good. Yeah,
But I did it on the face of the wheel.
right.
I set the table at 5 degrees down, so it gives you an obtuse angle.
Right.
And I just came in with the blade and I just rocked it. It was straight. So I put the bevel on with the coarse side, and then I came over to the fine side and I just rocked it. And then I flipped it, and you want to
Here,
get that
this one
nice.
is good and
My
sharp.
line isn't perfect, but it doesn't matter. You know, so it seems to be good.
This one is pretty sharp.
So now you're doing a little
Yeah.
twisting.
That's what they look like when you're finished. Finished, you know.
Alright.
This is nice and sharp. This one's nice and sharp. If yours is dull,
No,
you're still going?
I'm still trying to figure out technique and what I'm doing, let alone finish like that.
Yeah, no, you're
Try that one.
doing okay.
Do the same technique with that and see what you think.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, this one's too dull.
Dull now.
Yeah, pretty dull. So use that one for a little bit, then turn this blade around.
Okay.
Holy cow, this guy's getting it. Gonna have my job here.
I guess we should glue this up and see what I'm doing versus just kind of going at it
Oh,
again.
you want to glue it up?
Just for shits and giggles.
Oh, that's a little red right on there.
Why do you like that better? Is it easier for you to see?
He's got some yellow. You got some
Yeah, you want to try the
stuff,
yellow?
right?
Yeah. I got the yellow. Yellow's the contrast to blue. So is this your F12 you're trying to get rid of, Ron? I think you had one of these machines posted, right? It is.
Hey Ron, can we open this up? Kyle, I'm gonna move your bag.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's not mine, but yeah.
Oh, that's my bag. That's fine.
Well, this is after the third pass, and we're starting to see some really interesting progress. The pattern is starting to be more dot-like and is spreading out toward the ends a little bit more.
I think I'm making some progress.
Oh yeah, nice.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Good.
Really nice. All the way up to about here.
Oh yeah.
Even makes us look like we don't know what we're doing.
You don't want to get it done. You know, then a guy, you refit pretty good, but you know, you're doing such a good job, and you're, you know, I mean, this is a learning curve. This is not, we're not working today. I mean, if you were at the shop, I'd be saying, hey, come on, get that guy cut, you know. One guy, they hired a new guy, and they said, Grundy, you instruct him, you know. So every once in a while, I'd holler over there, hey, lean on that son of a bitch, let's go. So it happens, about 2 hours into it, down he goes, puts his head on the table, big gash,
Oh my
blood
God.
all over, got the paramedics in there.
Oh,
Then
jeez.
all my buddies are, well, you finally killed somebody. Look at this. Well, the guy was epileptic,
Oh, he had a seizure.
and he didn't say anything, you know, so, and the company said, well, it's probably a good thing, because they, you know, if somebody's epileptic and running overhead cranes, and
Yep.
I mean, it's just one of those
There's
things.
there's
you know.
regulations and
I
safety
felt-
and yeah.
I felt bad for the guy, you know, but
Guy's trying to work and
yeah.
okay. Pass number 4.
Am I going too fast?
No, I mean, you're going too fast for me. I'm slow.
I just figured I could get it down to a similar plane and then kind of hit the points when I get there.
I think I was getting these out for Keith Rucker. There,
What we got here?
there's your knee gear train.
Oh, yep.
There's
Okay.
your safety clutch, your rollover clutch, all your gears in there. You know, everything. You know, if you guys want, I can make copies of these. You know.
Yeah. So this is the knee, right? So this is the
knee.
problem I'm having is this is in the knee because there's another clutch behind the gear in here. I'm trying to think. No, that's fine. It's only when I put it into gear, and I think the rollover clutch is the issue. I have to get way into the knee to get that, right?
Yeah.
Or just lean on the handle every time you need to do
That's
it.
what I do. It works, but yeah,
Is it only for the knee up and down?
only for the knee up.
Yeah. How often do you really need to do that?
42354. Is that what it says?
What's the?
R dot W dot.
I'm trying to see what it's for.
Train distance. It is a little hard to read. It's not as easy.
See down here.
4 sheets. Yeah, that's just telling you about the sheets. Knee and FD this box, and maybe that's it. Yeah, this I recognize. That's the front of the knee.
Yeah, they all look pretty much like that. I thought I had a number 2.
I thought the machine was a 4,
Yeah.
but I think you or Hugh told me it was actually a 3. But it says 4 on it.
What's it say in the lot book?
It has a 5-inch. I can tell you this: it has a 5-inch spindle. Like these are 5 inches.
Yeah.
So whatever that's worth.
I got the serial numbers and all of that, you know.
I could easily. I just give you the serial number.
figure out if it, no, you definitely tell that with a good blade makes a big difference. Big difference.
Oh yeah, is that blade pretty sharp?
Yeah, one you gave me, yeah. I gotta turn mine around. I want to try it out. Turn it around.
Oh yeah, this one's good.
You sharpen this one just like you would high-speed steel?
Yeah, I can sharpen that for you if you want me to.
I don't know if it's dull or not.
Probably by now.
I think I learned the value of a small surface plate.
Only 38 times left.
Well, this is number 30. This is number 4, so.
Hey, I do have a bathroom here too, you guys.
You do?
Yeah. Down at the end of the building on your left.
Okay.
There's a bucket with kitty litter in it.
Hey, don't laugh. You know, when I first built this place,
That's
pretty much
what it was.
those were plywood. The doors, I didn't have enough money to put doors in it. So as I worked on machines and got enough money, I put a door up, I put cement in. It was all stone. I had a wood heater in here.
That seems to be the way all of us do it. You know, you get started with the basics, bare minimums, and
Yeah.
just grow.
That's kind of what I'm looking for, see?
Alright.
That's kind of what I'm looking for. A cut like that. If you come back, stand over here once and do it, just try it, you know, just kind of a fat little wide cut.
Right, about half inch, but a lot thicker.
Yeah.
But I'm still concentrating on the blue spots.
Yeah,
though, right?
yeah. Yeah, something like that. See, there you go. There you go.
I'm getting there. I'm getting more and more blue. Working my way back to this worn area. This is the blue that I had on this third shot.
Yeah, that look good. You know, and you gotta think about it, you know, when you're in the concept of doing this, how much am I taking off? 2,000, 3,000. You know, that's probably all you're taking off. You wanna be careful that you've got enough clearance on your slide here when you put it back on. And if you're gonna put any material or anything, or do the dovetails, then you gotta, you gotta dovetail what's up there. Okay. Well, right down in here, you wanna make sure, you know, we used to take a heavy hacksaw blade and go in there and put like a. You getting tired of this by now?
No.
Are you getting tired of it yet, Al?
Here, let me see if I can sharpen that a little bit, see if I can make it a little. Oh, it's looking good now.
Oh, I don't know that it's dull. I know one side's
Still pretty sharp?
one side's a little more dull. Let's see, which way did I go last time? I think I went that way last time.
Yeah.
This is the problem I'm having with this is that it's not super stable.
Mm-hmm.
So it wants to rock.
How you liking that blue?
It's the first time I tried it. Since you said you tried, I wanted to try it. I like your yellow for sure.
Yeah, the yellow is helpful, right?
Very helpful. Try this and
You gonna print it on that? On the straight edge or?
put it on that just to see for fun, I guess.
Oh, on this one you did straight edge?
Yeah. See what it does.
There we go.
You gotta wedge that in a little bit somehow. Cut some of that off if it's too big.
No, I'll just move it when I get down to that point.
All right.
Oh, yeah. That's fine. That's straight.
literally did nothing to it.
Yeah.
I mean,
You're not the power scraper?
Yep.
So do you prefer the power scraper or hand scraping? Or?
Well, I don't prefer any scraping anymore. But stuff here. Where's our little? I need a 4mm. I think.
let's see. Oh, right here. Put the new blade in there, yeah.
I'm interested to see what this is like compared to our hand scraper.
Well, let's see how this works. See how it works.
Cheaters.
Yeah, that's us. We're cheating. Kind of like a little dentist instrument.
Kind of need a haircut.
It's like a $1,200 sawzall.
Let's do it.
Is this different than the blades that you have?
That's one of your blades in there. I'll let you finish this and then we'll go over it with a power scraper and see what it looks like. If you tip it, see I gouged it a little bit here. If you tip it, you know, you gotta keep it nice and flat on there.
So this.
It's been about 20 years since I used one of these.
Do you have blades for yours?
Yeah, I got some in there too.
Are they similar or are they different?
No, they're pretty much the same, but his look a little bit newer, you know. And they,
I don't think they've ever been used.
I don't know, you know, the guy that sold me that, he didn't know he had that stuff, huh?
Stuck on top of the toolbox.
Oh,
I mean, I was like you, I went to the website, seeing where it was off, and it's about $400 or $500 worth of stuff, and I was like, wow, I didn't pay that at all.
Right. Oh,
I think I paid about that level, all of that stuff, and one of those levels.
very cool.
It's fast.
That is
yeah, that
fast.
thing will, you know, I mean, you can take some material off of that too.
How long have you owned this for?
Huh?
How long have you owned that for?
Oh, probably 30 years.
Oh, wow. Was it new when you bought it?
No.
No, I think so. I switched this one around. Let's see what this one does. I just switched that one around, see if that'll go even better.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. That's what it's done.
Oh yeah, it's sharp, eh? That's probably original,
Right.
you know.
Definitely.
I mean, they just
Kevin opted to use Ron's straight edge as his practice piece rather than using any of the stuff that he ended up bringing with him. One of the things he brought was a really nice camelback straight edge that he bought off of somebody who thought it was a level. Anyway, he opted not to touch it because it looked like it was in pretty good shape. So he decided to leave it alone and instead concentrate on practicing his technique on this piece.
Little particles or whatever. If you could look under a microscope, you know, they wash out.
It definitely makes a difference.
Here, and then
You know how that rock.
I'm not going to stand here.
No, you don't. You got your own to scrape.
You know, over years, they wear out. You know, I mean, it's just the way.
And then on the other extreme, Kyle brought in the compound slide of a lathe he purchased that needed some tweaking. So his practice piece is going to be a component of a piece of machinery.
Carbide scraper on Amazon. They're like $20, and then I just put a radius on it. And
So it was a straight blade when you got it?
Yeah, it's a design. It's a gasket scraper, is what they call it. So I just cut it off. Usually comes with a handle, and then
I've
put a radius on
I've
it.
seen other people do that too.
Okay.
Where they've done that. I know I've watched other people do the same thing. There's something else, I can't remember where it was. I know it's not Sandvik. It's a longer piece of carbide
Okay.
that you can cut in half. I'm gonna have to find it. If I find it, I'll send you a link to it. But
The only reason I did this because you can make your own, but you have to silver solder or braze, and I can do that. But I was like, this is just easier. I know it's brazed well because it's commercially done.
Right.
So I was like, there's not. The con is there's not enough meat there. So when I grind it, you can see it's narrower here.
Yeah.
But if it's enough meat and you get enough sharpenings out of it where it's cheap, and obviously it worked.
It's got. Is it double sided or just the
Yeah,
one side?
it's double sided.
So for $20, you get $10 a side. You could probably sharpen that a dozen times.
Yeah, easy.
I mean, for $20, that's not a bad deal.
And it's easy. Anyone can do it. All I used was a cheap green wheel. So, yeah.
That's what I don't have yet. I don't have carbide. That's why I'm kind of loving this thing here, that
Hard to really
hardened
tell.
steel
Yeah.
file blank, because
Yeah.
I can sharpen that on a stone. And
Easy. Yeah, that's really nice because it's easy to sharpen.
So I want you guys to take a look at this and maybe make a little drawing so you can have these on hand, just have them in your shop, because you're always going to need to check, once you get done with the face of the column, say you got this thing laying on its back, you're done with the face of the column, then you're going to scrape the positive side, and then you're going to run this side parallel. You want them to be parallel, because your knee moving up and down, typically on these machines, the knees, and I talked about that a little earlier, the knee doesn't take the brunt of the wear. I mean, because you usually just position it. Like your number 3, you can get by with the knee, cleaning up the gibs, scraping a little bit,
Yeah.
It's pretty tight on there. Because you position your machine and then you table left and right.
Right.
But if you're really overhauling it and doing a decent job, you want to scrape the face and then scrape this. Got all nice bearing on there. It doesn't have to look like a marking gib. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have to have 10 zillion spots all over it, but it should be nice and flat. It should be straight, okay? Then we put our fixture on here. You see it's on the face here. It's on here. Now I put an indicator here, all right? I'm gonna go up. I got it laying on its back.
Oh, you
and
put
I'm
the
gonna
indicator on that bar?
Yep, I'm
Okay.
gonna put an indicator here, and I'm gonna indicate this, and generally, on something like this, I use a stair button
A
indicator,
button? Okay.
because it's, 1,000 indicator.
Yep.
I mean, and if you got it, as close to 0 as you can, 5/10, 3/10.
Okay.
A lot of times, the guys get a little overzealous, they want to make it 0, and they spend eons of time, trying to do that. A couple 3/10, you're pretty damn close, Now, you've got a test bar. This is a 40 taper test bar. When they originally built this machine, the first thing they did was plane everything. Everything was just plain. They actually would bore, that you got your spindle bore and everything. They'd plane the machine, then they'd drop a temporary spindle in there, what they call the temporary spindle. And they put a star, they called it a star. Sat here, 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 and here. And then it had a precision outboard, and they would put an indicator. They'd swing it from there, 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 really close to zero. You know, that's what they wanted this. You got to remember, on all these machines, horizontal machine like this spindle is straight to the world. You know, I mean, this is what it is right here, the spindle. Everything else is built to this spindle. You know, your geometries, all of your geometries, everything is comes off of here. Now, when I put the knee back on there, I'm going to use my fixture or the top of the knee. I'll indicate over the top of the bar. You know, rotate my spindle. You get a little run out. You'll probably have 7 or 8/10 run out. So you split the run out. All right. So then you got 0. Okay. You might have a 1/2,000. What you want to do is keep the knee. Just keep the knee a little bit high in the front. Let that knee a little bit high in the front, maybe 1,000. If it's 1,000 high in the front, I'm happy, because by the time I put the table and saddle and everything on it, it's going to be, you know, probably about 5/10. It's going to take, I mean.
And you're scraping the top of the saddle to get that thousands high?
Well, the top of the saddle, your knee is, say you got your knee at 1,000 high. You put the saddle on, you should 0. You got 4 corners on the saddle of 0. Put the table on, you know, and it should be 0 on the top of the knee. Okay, so now, you know, when we've got that knee on there and it's settled down, say 5/10, and we travel it back and forth, you're going to be damn close, you know.
Okay.
And that's kind of what you want to strive for, you know, just so. You know,
So are you, when you scrape the top of the knee, are you scraping it on the machine then?
Yeah.
So you put it on the machine. You've already scraped the column. It's good. The gib's good.
No, I scrape the top of the knee flat. Now, when I put this knee back on the column, okay, now I'm going to check it. And, you know, I'll put bluing on here, okay? And then put everything together, run it up and down, then check it, okay? Oh, the top of the knee is 2,000 high. I don't want that. So what am I going to do here? You know, I'm going to scrape the back of that knee so it drops down. I'm scraping the back of the knee a little bit, you know. You got to adjust, you got to do it by the back of the knee, you know. So that's what I'm doing with this. You know, the same thing on the side. You know, you're going to be running it. It's going to be, you're going to put a square on it there. Now, you guys, if you look at that thing, you can tell how important lubrication is.
Oh, yeah.
Gouging it.
See that?
Yeah. It looks like my Bridgeport table.
Well, you know, over the years, you know, they neglect these machines, you know. I would say that probably this machine ran for 20 years and nobody ever changed the oil in it. Ever.
Oh, man.
I mean,
I have to believe the same thing with mine. I don't think the oil
that
was
was
changed.
mine.
yeah.
Comes out like mud.
Yeah.
You know, we'd get them at Kearney and Trecker, open them up, and coolant would pour out of there. Fortunately, years ago, they used oil-based coolant, so it didn't ruin everything.
Right.
Nowadays, it's all water-based. That's like your head, you know. I mean, if you get any water-based coolant in there, it'll kill that thing, you know. But at any rate, we were talking about scraping this thing. You're taking your square, this type of square here, setting it on the top of the knee, and then putting an indicator off of here and running the knee up and down. That's called square to the face. You want to see how square to the face you are? Over the top of the knee, the side of the bar. You know, all of those geometries. And if you look at, you know, I remember when I first started, they said, you're going to be learning geometries on it, and I panicked because I said, Jesus, I can't even do algebra. I mean, no. It's a whole different concept. It's geometry, but you think about it, you know, you're correcting this geometry. You know, you indicate it over the bar, it was a little high, you scraped the back of the knee, you dropped it down a little bit. The side of the knee was out, we had our square on it. So you scraped the top of the knee, the bottom of the gib. So you moved it over a little bit. You know, you kept it nice and parallel, but you corrected the geometry. I see the guys are rebuilding these machines, right? They look like new Cadillacs, you know. But if you don't have any of the geometries, if the machine is wibble wobbling this way and that way, and it's 1,500 or 2,000 out of square this way, it's, you know, I mean, you can make it work, but it's not, you know, what it should be.
Right.
So it's important to know, you know, how to do these geometries, or to even know what the hell they are. You know, that's an important thing. You know, like your horizontal, you know, your table T slots, you put a fixture in the spindle, and then you indicate from this T slot to this T slot. Okay, you can't be out 10,000, or your table is, you know, you're trying to run apart, and it's, you know, you're off on it. You know, so you got to be able to figure out how to change that by, you know, the bottom of the saddle we got to move over, or we got to, you know, whatever we've got to do there. You know, so that's all important part. Like those CNC machines, you guys are looking at them fancy CNC, same thing. That spindle, I mean, it has to be straight. You can't move this machine, you know, 10 inches this way, 10 inches this way, drill a hole with your head and come back over here and be off 5,000? No, you know, so even these old-time machines were pretty accurate, you know, and if they were not right on the money, the old machinists knew where they were, you know, and they could fudge a little bit and get it in, you know, so, but with the new ones, you know, when it says, you know, 24 inches, 2002 tenths, it's right there. It's got to be there. And if you tore that machine apart, under those ways, they would be hand scraped on the rails, where you have those rails and you have those pads on there. They scrape those one way or another, you know, to level them out. Most of them, you know, not all of them. On that one in the back, that was a CNC. That was all scraped. The gibs and everything was scraped on that. So, you know, it's old, but it's not gone.
Right.
You know, that hand scraping or power
Hand scraping is still there. It's
still there.
It's how old are the machines that are
In some form or fashion, you know, there's still, you know, the big machines up at Giddings and Lewis, you know, under the hardened ways, all hardened ways. If they got one that they take the hardened way off and they scrape underneath it, you know, to make it level or whatever, or, you know, they still are doing that, you know. So, but anyways, you guys, I want you to just, you know, make and then, you know, back and forth, because you see how that is configured on the Bridgeport, you know, so there's all kinds of stuff. And then you got your old-fashioned, you know, even these, we use these all the time. You guys are using these all the time, you know. I got a couple levels out here.
How are you keeping your levels up to date? Like calibrating your levels?
Well, flip it around.
they're self-calibrating.
You know, you don't really calibrate it. You got to send it out to get it calibrated, but you can check it by if it's level this way and you rotate it and it's still level.
Same, you're fine.
And then what you do is when a guy sets it all up and he's all level, and when he's not looking, you rub at one end like that, and it warms up and it moves. You're like, what the hell? There again, it's practice, you know. I mean,
Ron also has a biax power scraper that he brought out, and Kyle opted to go ahead and give it a shot on his compound.
you're really getting it look nice there, you know.
I come the other way. Ooh, my wrist is sore. It's funny. You think like this is way easier, and in some ways it is, but in other ways, like I'm more sore from doing this than I was doing that. Which
Whole gamut. One of those, I think it's the ones right you're looking at now. That's for flaking.
okay, that's flaking.
Yeah, this is actually for scraping. I mean, those are just like extensions and links and some blades in here. Let's still in here, some blades in there. If you want to
I opted to stick with the hand scraper for my straight edge. I really want to only use hand scraping on this just for practice sake, if nothing else.
And those are just extensions for like rigidity and
Interesting. It's like one level. Okay. What was it? A 4mm? You said?
Well, that's what this one was. That one was.
Where are your Allen wrenches at, Ron? Allen wrenches? You have Allen wrenches out?
Oh, well, that's too small, huh?
3, 4.
What did I do with that little 4?
Oh, there we go.
Well,
Oh, maybe one smaller.
well,
Now try it left-handed.
What's that?
Now try it left-handed.
Oh, yeah. Like totally out yeah.
Well, that's what I'm doing right now. I'm doing it left-handed. It's like, wow, this don't feel right.
No.
you can try a wider blade in there.
Yeah, I'm just going to try a different blade and see how it does.
I like that. You're doing good on that. I like
Yeah,
that.
it looks good.
Yeah.
I'm just trying just different techniques, different sides, and just trying to figure out what the hell I'm doing. Interesting.
How's that stroke length on this, Ron?
You go this way, and you know, you just go a little shorter.
All right.
You know, but you know, and then we'll try it. We'll see if we can get him to show you how to use that power scraper after that. That works good too.
Yeah.
What's the stroke on this? Is it at a good spot?
Huh?
The stroke? You know what it should be at for what we're doing? Like the stroke?
Oh, you know, I think there's a way to adjust that. I'm not really positive, but I think there is.
On the, right, is it that one there, that nut? Or is it in the back? Or maybe down there?
I don't know. You know what?
You just always leave it.
I never had any instructions or anything with it, you know. So I really don't know.
Okay. Interesting.
But I think it's adjustable.
Yeah, I think it is good.
Try to just try it on there.
On there?
Yeah, you can't hurt that. We're wrecking that, so we don't care.
What do you think?
All your hard work, yeah.
Does this look worse than the other one? Or is it fine? That looks good?
I would think.
Okay.
Try a little faster going across it. Yeah, see that? Yeah. You know, you just gotta kind of get that over and then start really picking it for the small.
Yeah, that's what I was. Yeah, should I pick at it or should I
This would be easier.
do this whole?
I don't know that I would say it's easier.
Yeah,
Or should
do
I
the
just-
whole thing, and once you start hitting out here, then you
Then I
pick
can
it.
start picking at it. Okay.
Yeah.
I think more.
So I'm trying to be a little more aggressive too
Yeah.
in my scraping.
Not necessarily easier. Like there, that's doing well there. You gotta get a rhythm to it. It's weird. try this after this?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna try that now. This is still pretty good.
Yeah, that one's still pretty good.
Yeah, I'm gonna try.
These are soft. Yeah, these are soft.
That one's still pretty soft.
Yeah, this one's still pretty good. Alright. Yeah, that's a project for tomorrow.
That's right.
I think we're getting somewhere with this. It's not hinging all in the middle anymore.
Oh, nice.
Holy moly!
Let's see.
So
Now when you get really tired of doing it, see that
it's
like,
hinging in
That's
better
good,
yeah.
spots.
I'm liking it. Here, now here I'll show you. You know, in the old days, the inspector would come along and he'd say, "Oh, it's really good," but then the guys would take a little block with bluing on it and rub it on there, you know, out the door. But you know, you got, if you look at this now, this is you know, really a good example. Now you got her pretty well roughed in. Let's say it's roughed in. Now you look at all your high spots here. You know, you can tickle a couple of these and leave this here, and then take it all the way down, and then hopefully she starts to fill in there. You know, I mean, we're not gonna rough cut it. We're not. I mean, it's nice and it's getting really nice and flat. You're probably only about maybe a half a thousand there. You know, right there. So, I mean, and as when you get it just like this all the way, then you concentrate on breaking them up. You know, because
And it's the lighter blue stuff is the highest peaks, right?
Right. You can see here. These are the really high ones. So, you know, when you get a lot of experience, and I can't see like I used to, but we used to be able. You know, you could see the real high ones, and the ones that aren't so high, you just kind of go through it. You know, don't put any pressure on it. You know, but takes a lot of, you know,
Finesse.
well, you know, doing that.
So
but,
you're saying I should just lightly here,
yeah,
and then do all the way across here,
yep,
and then lighten it up there.
yeah, because sometimes it'll just kind of tip a little, just a little bit. You want it to tip a little bit because you want to fill this end in a little, you know.
Okay.
And but it really really looks good, you know. I mean, for your
Well, you know, my dad used to say, even a blind squirrel finds a nut every now and again.
yeah, you know, and this is kind of why we're doing this, you know. I mean, like I said, you're not gonna learn this in 2 days. You guys are gonna take away. I hope you take away some stuff,
Yeah.
you know, and add to it all the time, watching other people and doing
coming back here.
no,
He's like, no. I'll browbeat you into it.
I'm gonna.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to call your grandson.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have him call your wife and say, those guys need to come back for scraping class.
You know,
So what we'll do is we'll get Ron to come over to my shop and we'll set him up
You
with
know.
a beer and a TV.
There we go.
And then we got a huge surface plate, and you guys do
Hey,
whatever
Chicago's
you want.
an hour and a half closer for me, so that's my network.
You know, at Gordon machine plates, this about as wide as this, maybe a foot longer. So you had 3 plates, 1, 2, 3. So what they would do, and Francis Brinker was telling me about what the plate they called Granddad. What they would do is they would take one plate, lay it on top of the other, mark it, okay? Take that plate off, scrape it. You know, have 2 or 3 guys scrape that whole great big plate, take them a couple of days. Then they'd lay it on another plate and they'd mark it. They'd go back and forth with these 3 plates,
Right. Yeah.
you know, constantly going until they had,
All of them were flat.
Yep, and
Yeah.
then they would make the master, what they called the master. They'd set the two plates aside, and they had the master plate was called Granddad. So when you wanted to have your, now the guys that scraped out on the line, they didn't do this. I didn't do it either. You know, if I wanted, I'm using a gib on a machine, I'd go back to Nikola Chuchu, his area. Nick was an old Hungarian guy. Hey Nick, my gib, you know. Oh yeah, he'd say, yeah. He'd put it on the master plate, mark it. Oh yeah, young boy, look. So you come back, you know, 1 hour, 2 hours.
So he would scrape in your marking gibs.
He would, you know, and then when you came back, there was fly shit bearing on here. You know, that was, and he'd always say, just a little, you know, just you know, and then, I mean, little tiny cuts, you could hardly see them, but those gibs were flat, you know, and you were required to go, you know, I mean, you're working on a machine, the first thing you did was you better go check that out, see how that gib is, you know, go back there and get it checked out. Get it scraped in. It was all scraped in. Leave it overnight or whatever. The next day you'd come, Nick would have it all done, and off you'd go. We didn't do them ourselves. You know, I mean, we were.
You were busy scraping in the machine.
I guess you could
didn't
call
have-
us
yeah.
surface. I mean, you know, we were like that. Hey, guys, what up? Heard you're busy training down here. Yeah. Sounds like fun. What are you guys doing?
Nothing. I came to ask you. These guys at work and myself are asking you to slow down.
Asking you to slow down?
Yeah. 2 days in a row. Exactly. So I'm like, what do I do? Because my supervisor, he's like, you need to put out as many numbers as you can. But I don't want to do that. This is what I'm running.
Hey, these guys, I heard that you heard the same.
I heard it. Yeah.
Slow down.
Yep. This is what I'm running right now.
Oh, that's this one is running a big shot. That's a lift
For like a valve?
Yep.
For a car engine? Or?
Caterpillar.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
He's looking at
GM Precision.
I'm doing this left-handed.
that thing has stayed sharp all this time. Wow.
Sharp enough, I guess.
That's my other grandson, Joe.
Oh, okay.
Well, you got the tractor one.
No, he's not the tractor. That's his brother. Brother's the tractor guy.
So are you going to measure with the gauge block, or I'm going to measure with...
Well, you know, you can if you want to check the surface going forward and see what it looks like, how close it is, you know. It should be fairly close.
What are you thinking, half thousand or better?
Somewhere in there, 5,000 or 1,000. That one used one for a long time
Maybe 14. 13. Now, is there a side that would make more sense to be worn? The side closest to the shop?
Yeah, I imagine, yeah, because it's found it.
I mean, it's close, right?
Yeah, I think that's close.
And there's variables. If I got a little bit of dust under there, you know, that's. I mean, it's real close. That's the point.
Yeah.
So it looks like this side might be a little less worn, which makes sense, but that's the side away from the front. So 16. I mean, I'm sure on a machine like that, it's way wide, thin, right? When you pull it out, and it's like flat out.
And you can't really guarantee this either.
Right. Yeah.
But it's, you know,
Gives you an idea. Yeah.
pretty close.
Alright, so we'll go print now like this.
Yeah, let's put some gluing on the gift side. Let's just see what that gluing, that gift looks like.
On the gift side.
Yeah.
Should be this side. And we're doing the gluing here on this part, right?
Yeah,
So you want to glue the jib up?
yeah, no, just glue this side up here. And,
Well, no, that'd be when you get it. You want me to glue on this part?
yeah. You know what? You could glue the whole thing up there and then just throw that on there.
Okay.
And then see what it looks like, you know?
Zero scoring, they look like a meter. So I figured the machine was probably fine, but I wanted to take it down, clean it, go through it, because I'm going to put this machine to work. It's going to be the centerpiece of my shop because it's the largest lathe that I have and it's in the best condition. And it does metric and standard threading and has huge spindle bore, which is just good practically. Yeah. I would imagine this one would probably be better if I sharpened it. It doesn't even look sharp compared to the other one. You know? You can tell immediately this one just doesn't cut.
Well, yeah. And you can tell as soon as you
Try to get the cuts just a little wider and shorter.
Okay. Wider and shorter. So this one I was using is narrower
Yeah,
because the radius is thinner. This one gives me more a wider
yeah.
cut.
I like this.
This is better.
You know, like I said, carried away here. It wasn't good.
It's a workout. He wasn't lying.
So now on some,
He was not lying.
I tried the more technique, and I tried,
Oh
doing
yeah,
forget it.
I'm not even there yet.
I know I'm not there.
I want to get it flat, and then maybe on that angle plate I'll experiment with the rolling it. But
There's no even way I can try.
well, you got to try in order to do it. So, but I don't want to do it on this.
No, I'm with you. A lot of work into that one.
I mean, what do you mean yeah, it's the same. But it's just the saddle is, 30 inches. And I was hoping to just kind of scrape it on the machine. I'm not trying to disassemble it and do a perfect job. I just want to dial in. One side I think was 3 and one side was 4 in the middle. Because there was a lip here where it didn't wear, so I could measure it with the depth mic. And, I just thought, hey, maybe I'll just scrape it on the machine a little bit. I could take the top side off and move that on the surface plate, but the actual part is on the lathe, so I didn't know how crazy that was to try to do it on the machine.
Just remember, when you're doing that, go straight down. Now, let's get going this way, one here and one here, you gotta look at the machine, and this is how it was built, okay? So when this is the original machine, it's all nice and straight, one shot. So if you scrape way over here, and then way over here, then you got 2 corners. So you gotta make sure it goes underneath.
Right.
That's gotta, and then what happens is, like this.
Yeah.
Unless you got some way to measure it, it could be a thing. And sometimes if you take a machine to be machined, it's hard to be machined. You really don't know what to do it, make it work. And then if they set it up and clamp, and then twist it, and then machine it, bring it back, so you gotta really kind of think about it before you dive into it. And some of the bigger machines, those sport cars, good as that, now, I mean, you gotta crew, really knows what they're doing, you gotta go in there with 4 or 5 guys, you can't, really gotta chuck it on like this, under there. So a lot of times guys will be scraping out here and they get tipped a little bit, so, gotta make sure you're scraping those things, all even. Yeah.
I don't know if you can get it very good on camera. So I went this way.
Ron spent a little bit of time also chatting with us on once you get your surface flat, how you can give it a really nice appearance, and demonstrating his technique on how he gets that hook pattern into the surface.
And, I always look for, if I got a little gap, put a little spot in there. So,
And of course, this is all after you've already gotten.
Yeah, because you're making it look, you're giving it that appearance, I mean,
and this is really just for show.
Huh?
Is this really just for show, or does this have? I mean, outside of the scraping, right? We scraped it. We've got all the little points. This is really just for show.
Yeah, this is
Attention to detail.
It's both. It's both, I mean, you want your customer. Now, when Kearney and Trecker built these machines, they wanted people to come in and go, whoa.
Right. No, I totally agree.
But it also is functional. I mean, it's totally functional.
Is it more functional than what's done over here?
I'm all done. I've got all my bluing. Everything looks good. It's nice and flat. So I want to give it a final cut. This is kind of for, like I said, like on the face of that column, I want people to look at that and say, oh, that looks pretty cool, how all of that. But it's also functional. I mean, it's just as functional as, so if I'm not proficient at doing it this way, you know, and I can't make those hooks, but you know, I can, you know, okay, here. Now I can just do this. You know, I'm good with that. I'm good with that, making it look, okay, we got them a little separated here, but they're straight, short, fat cuts, okay? Just like that. I'm laying that right in there, all right? I'll go all the way down to where I put the hook pattern in there. Now you see how that, now that's gonna look when I put oil, stone it off, put oil on it, that's not gonna look too bad either, right?
Right.
So, because as I'm doing this, you know, I've learned how to do this. I've got my scraper under control. I've learned how to do this pretty good. So I can make those cuts, and I'm cutting them, I'm probably going about a 1,000 deep. So you got a 1,000 on one side, 1,000 on the other. You know, you got some pretty deep pockets there for the oil to retain, for it to retain oil, and for your wear. You know, it's going to keep it from, you know, totally wearing out. Now, if I come back on it, just go back over here, do the same thing. You know,
As long as it's a
I want my
consistent,
machine to look halfway decent.
but as long as it's consistent width, consistent length, consistent depth, it'll have a decent appearance.
It's got symmetry.
Yeah, the symmetry. It's not as pretty as the
No.
as the flake.
Now you can, with a power flaker, you know, if you have a power flaker, you can make it look pretty nice. They have a fish pattern or a hook pattern that really looks decent. Okay.
So can you explain a little bit more of the hook pattern of how you're manipulating the scraper?
It's pretty simple.
Oh, that's a shorter one.
Now,
Precision dropped flat stone.
yeah, no, that's not a precision drop. Now you see, you know, your machine isn't going to look too bad either, you know. So,
Yeah, that does look nice.
Here, hold on.
you know, you can do it like that. The hook pattern, yeah, put a little oil on there and it'll look decent, you know. And
So can you do me a favor? When you did the hook pattern, can you explain a little bit more of how you're manipulating this?
well, yeah, off of my hip, when I hold it at a pretty good angle like this, and I'm just kind of rolling.
So are you rolling it and then back in the same stroke, right?
Yep.
So you start in your left, you roll it this way, and then roll it back in one
I'm
stroke.
using this hand. This hand, I'm putting pressure on it. Now, watch. Okay. Well, we can't see we should put a little red light on there so we can see it. But this hand,
I tried to capture how he was doing this in a slow motion video, and it really didn't come out all that great, but you can kind of see that rocking motion that he's talking about.
even with this carbide, this side is sharper. Oop. I'm trying to roll it a little bit. Try the old school one.
And you got the handle in your hip, and you're using your hip to...
Yeah, I'm using my hip. And, you know, so I don't know how that looks.
Oh, it looks good.
It looks good to me.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's long and the short of it. So, you know, and you can do that with a power scraper too. I mean, that power flaker can really make it pretty, you know. So, and it just takes a lot of practice. Now, this is back of the gib. You can pick it one more time, but it's flat.
It doesn't matter because it's the backside,
I'm
right?
not worried about it, you know. So
We also spent a little bit of time talking about how you can use Tercite to build back some wear in a gib or some other machine surface.
Bridgeports, any of your machines, put the gib in, it goes an inch too far in. Everything's wore out.
Right.
Okay, so what I've done here is I just crisscrossed it, scraping it. Okay, now these gibs, most of your machine tools. Now somebody might call me up and say, "Oh, you're full of crap." That's not, but they're about 18 thousandths per inch.
Okay.
The taper.
Oh, they're
You know.
consistent.
Yeah.
Okay.
16, 18, 20 thousandths per inch. I'm not sure what the Bridgeport is. I think it's about the same, somewhere in there.
Okay.
So what I typically do with when I'm rebuilding a machine is wore out pretty good. I've scraped my positive side, I've scraped my gib side, I've run the parallel. Okay, they're good. Now I put the gib in, it goes sailing through there. So, okay, I'll take the gib and I'll bring it out to where it belongs. Then I shove this whole thing over. All right, put a feeler in here, in the back and the front. Oh, I got about 15 thousandths that I can put in there. 20 thousandths, 30 thousandths, whatever it is, you know. So now I know that if I add material on there, 20 thousandths, 30 thousandths, whatever I'm going to add on there, my gib is going to be where it belongs.
Sure.
Now, you can do it one of two ways. You can add the material to the saddle on your positive side, which I like to do. I like to put it on the positive side, and then what I'll do is I'll grease everything up, glue the material on that dovetail, slide it over there, take the gib, tap it in, nice and snug. Make sure that's all greased up because you got glue on there. You don't want this thing to be, you know, stuck forever, you know. So, anyways, I shove it over there, tap the gib in, let it set. Okay, it'll set up with I use a two-part epoxy.
Okay.
Now this is a Tercite material, and you can buy this out in Waukesha. Machine Tool Service and Training is the name of the place.
I think McMaster sells that too.
Yeah.
Is it expensive or is it reasonable? Or?
It's not.
Keith-
It's not cheap, but I don't think it's expensive.
Keith Mathis. Yeah, he's out there, right? And they'll fix you up with, say you need 20 thousandths, and I think the thinnest that you can get is about 18 thousandths in this material. And when you use it that thin, scraping it, you got to be really careful because you can peel it off pretty easy. But I've already put like, if you machine something, you know, and you need to bring it up, you know, 30, 40 thousandths, Tercite works excellent. You know, this stuff is, you know, we found this to be, I did anyways, we never used it at Kearney and Trecker. We used that panelite material that we're talking about. But this stuff is, I believe it's made in Germany, and it has property in it, you know, that's almost self-lubricating, and it'll practically wear out the iron before you'll wear this out.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
How much
you know,
need.
it's not real costly, you know. I mean, but they'll sell you the glue and everything. Don't tell anybody, but I go to the Chinese store, get that two-part epoxy, the gray stuff, the 24-hour setting stuff, mix it up, and use that.
I won't tell anybody, but I just recorded that on video.
Oh.
So edit.
But you know, if you buy the Tercite from Keith, they'll say, hey, we won't guarantee it if you don't use our material, our glue and all, you know, otherwise, you know, they'll say their warranty isn't any good, which is, it's, you know, but I'm going to say that I don't want to spend $50 extra on for, you know, putting it on my Bridgeport, you know, I'm not going to do that. But, you know, in all honesty, you probably should use the proper glue and stuff when you go out there and talk to Keith. You know, he'll sell you the glue and it's you know, for everything to be the way it should be.
Sure.
But at any rate, that's how I generally do it. Now, if I'm going to glue it on the gib, you know, I'll do this, do a just back and forth, and then I'll score that. When I say score it, this is what I mean by scoring it, you know, just like that. Just put a, you know, a little,
to bite.
yeah, so that glue, you know, will bind a little bit better in there, okay?
Sure.
Now, get everything cleaned up. I usually take an old hacksaw blade when I spread the glue. I'm not going to do that now because I'll make a mess.
Sure.
But I take a hacksaw blade, I spread the glue on there, and then I'll spread the glue on there, okay? Put it on there, and then either put a weight on it. I got a couple of weights that I put on it, or I'll find some place where I can, you know, just put a piece on it and put some clamps on it, clamp it down, you know. Let it set, you're good. Now, I'll tell you something.
Now, are you putting this? You're putting the Tercite on the moving side of the gib,
Right.
Okay.
Right.
The sliding side. Okay.
On the sliding side. Now,
Could
a
you
lot
put
of
it on
guys
the
will
other
pull
side?
them, they'll take the gibs out and they'll put shims on the back.
We'll expand on that even more, Ron, because you were talking about that for the video. Like, how far should your gib stick out? Like, if you know it's before, like if you
Well,
if you
on the Bridgeports, they're usually flush because
Right.
you got your cover that goes over
Like-
there.
Right.
They're usually,
Zero.
but yeah, zero.
They're usually
Zero.
the screw is flush, and then you can adjust it. I think you can. Yeah, you can.
Yeah, with the scraper.
I don't know if you got to take that off. I think you got to
Yeah, I
take
think
that
I-
off.
Yeah, you take it off.
Yeah. Demagnetize the gib. An old gib. I got a little demagnetizer up there. Demagnetize these gibs. Run because over years and years they're all squirrely. You know,
Yeah.
you clamp them and moving them. Demagnetize them first. Okay. Then the gib is, you know, it's waffled and it's, you know, it's not very straight. You're high in the middle. Here, watch. Now this gib is nice and flat.
Not anymore.
That'll change it.
No,
Really.
you're not. You know, so you can, you know, you gotta use a little finesse. You know, you tap it a little bit, then you mark it. You know, do like my
Wow.
buddy Carl. We're working on a big number 4, and I'm tapping it. Carl, give me that gib. You know, because we're gotta get the job done. Swackle, busted it right in half. You know.
I guess he got the job done.
Yeah, what are we gonna do now? You know, so you know you demagnetize it, and you can, you know, like I said, let's see where we're at with this gib now. See that?
Oh yeah, it's not hinging like it was.
Just
And you
from
can
that.
really tell.
Crazy.
Just that little.
So which
Yeah.
way did it move? Does it always move the same way, or does it not?
What's that?
Like when you hit it, like is it always moving in the same direction?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Which way
yeah.
does it move? Against?
Yeah, I moved it so it would be out of flatness. Now I gotta smack it on the other
side.
so
Oh wow.
it'll come back in a little bit. But you know, that's just one of the things that demagnetizing is important, because these things are, you know, they drive you nuts trying to straighten, especially a really long one, you know, because and then you put it on the plate, and like I said, all you need to do is get it, you know, like every time you take the gib out, you're going to have a big lump right here
Where the screw
because,
was.
you know, the maintenance guys will tighten it. You know, the machine operator says, hey, this thing's a little, so he'll come in and tighten the shit of it, and then you're going to always have it. So you clean that all off, and like I said, and when you put your Tercite if you're going to put it on the gib, you put it on the wear side, okay? And then the other trick is you got it all ready to go back in. You cut the center out of it. Always take the centers out of your gib.
Really?
Yeah, because you're going to be hitting here and here. You don't want a big hump in the middle. You got a hump in the middle, then you're doing one of these numbers, you know. So you take the center out.
How would you take the center out? What?
Just scrape it.
Just scrape it out?
Yeah, I'm going to scrape this, and then I'm going to give this a couple extra cuts. I'm just talking about making the bearing light in the center.
Okay.
You know,
so you're not like completely removing it.
Well,
just...
you know, I do sometimes completely remove it because I just want it here and here. Okay, now I slip my gib in there. You know, we got our gib, we're all done. We slip it in there. Hold that gib with your thumb. You know, you're out there, you got a little bit you can scrape, you know. You hold it with your thumb and you push it in. You got bluing on everything, you know, so you're marking your gib now. You push it in, don't pull it back. Push it in, pop it out of there. If you push it in and pull it back and push it back and forth, then you're just doing this and you're not really seeing how your gib is going to be. If you push it in just one way and you got only marking here, you know, your gib the taper is off a little bit, you know, so you're trying to get that taper as close as you can. So just start out here, put your thumb on there. You know, you don't have to, you know, these guys tighten this shit. No, you just slide it in. And if your slide is all parallel, this is parallel. If she starts getting tight on you, you got something wrong. You know, either it's not parallel, the flats, you know, so all of those things come into play when you're straightening out your gib or putting your gibs in there. And that goes with any, whether it's on a lathe slide or whatever, you know, push it in there and then it'll show you your taper, you know. So, but I'm telling you, this Tercite is the way to go. I got it on that CNC in the back there, or the middle one. I put about, I think I put about 30 thousandths or 40 thousandths on the table. And remember, always put it on, like if you're gonna put it on a saddle, you never put it on the bottom of a table, because it'll come right off, you know, sooner or later, you know. So you put it where it's captured, where it's always captured. You put that stuff, you know, and it's really good on the backs of the top of the saddle on a Bridgeport, you know, because you can, you know, when your gib is so far in there, you can, you know, make it like new again.
So we talked about this briefly yesterday, the chrome ways.
Yeah.
On a Bridgeport.
Yeah.
They wear. They're not, you know, they're not wear proof. They do wear. They wear less than cast iron. What do you do to refinish those practically? I mean, I've been told by Bridgeport rebuilders that the only way really to deal with those is you acid etch all the chrome off and you start from scratch. You either re-chrome it or
expensive.
Or you scrape it. Yeah.
For guys like us.
For guys like us, what would we do to try to...
Don't tell anybody.
This video's not recording.
I use a little disc grinder.
And you do a little notching,
because you know, you can see it's more in the center. I'll use a little disc grinder, just, you know, zip, 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 just like I'm scraping it. You know, and sometimes I can even make it look like it was scraped.
Yeah.
And I'll grind it. Oh, we had one of those what you were talking about yesterday, radial arm drill press.
Yeah.
Big, you know, thing had been going back and forth for probably 50 years.
One of the best parts about the 2 days really was listening to all of the stories that Ron was willing to share with us, and he had quite a few.
10 feet long.
Okay.
And they had big camelback straight edges, and, you know, like 30 thousandths is war. So I'm on one end, Louis on the other end. He's got a disc grinder, and I don't mean a little one. I mean a
a big one. And we ground it with a disc grinder and marked it until we started hitting in the middle, you know, then we started scraping it. But, you know, sometimes, and some of them big machines, the big Kernian Trekkers, like a number 6 or something, some of those tables, you know, they'd be 40,000s, 50,000s bent, you know, and when they put them on a planer, like a big banana, you know, I mean, those things are, and then I always wondered how come, you know, some of these guys, if you put a big fixture on there and you run it all the way over, you would think the machine would tip right over, you know. Holy cow. You know, and it's you know, you go out in the field, like at the factory, you know, you got cranes, we had hitches, we had everything, you know, everything was made for moving this stuff around. You get out in the field, you got a number 6, you got to take the table off of the forklift truck. I mean, it's like, you know, or pull the knee off, lift the knee. That little machine there, it was a horizontal, and I was up at Cullenberg Brothers, and they make diesel engines, little diesel engines up in Manitowoc, and the old man, they had a S12, and the knee elevating screw something was wrong. I had to replace the elevating screw. So I went up there, and the old man comes out. How much does that Kernian Trekker charge? I said, I think it's about $110 an hour now. $110 an hour? He said, I better not see you looking up. So I started on the machine like 8 o'clock in the morning. By noon, I had the knee off, and I had the screw out and replaced, all back in by like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I called into my boss, I'm all done. What? Yeah, I'm done. And the guy was happy, you know, because it only cost him about $800 to get it fixed, you know. But they had line shafts still operating. I think they got a planer up there that still operates with the line shaft. Yeah, but that was funny. Yeah, but when you gotta lift that stuff off with a forklift truck and try to hitch it and try to get, you know, and then they don't have any equipment, and it can be a nightmare. You know, you get out in the field.
Well, that's like every day in my shop.
Yeah,
I've got a cherry picker.
I'm over in Cairo, Egypt, right? And so, the machine won't run. It'll only run clockwise. We changed it to run counterclockwise. It was horizontal. It won't run counterclockwise. Oh. So I said, well, I need a piece of string. You know, I need a nice long piece of string, and I need an Allen wrench, whatever size, I don't remember what it was, and I'll fix that. They looked at me, you're going to fix that with a piece of string and an Allen wrench? Yeah. So on the side of the machine, that cover right there, where it says 205, if you go down in there, the top of the speed box has got a little box on it, and there's a directional valve on there, and it's a plunger, you know, and you know how those hydraulic things are they're so close. Well, if the machine sets for a real long time, that plunger likes to stick, so it'll only run one direction. It won't shift, you know. Well, if you reach down in there, you can get it with the Allen wrench, but if you drop the Allen wrench, guess what? You know?
Taking the machine apart. Yeah.
You know, so I got a string. I was trying to string my Allen wrench, and then very carefully take one screw out, the next screw out, you know, and then I take one of the screws and put it on top of the plunger. And they're all, I got a whole group. They're all, I'm pushing that plunger up and down, you know, up and down, up and down, and they're all watching. I put everything back together, you know. Okay, start it up, start the machine up, clockwise, go counterclockwise, counterclockwise. Oh, they all applaud, you know.
Because they've probably been working on that for a month, trying to figure out why it wouldn't do that.
Yeah, well, they came and said, "Oh, your machine is very, very bad, very bad." What's the matter? You know, why is it very bad? Well, look, and a guy shows me a cutter body and inserts. I mean, the holders. It's all chewed, you know. And I said, "Well, where are the inserts?"
Oh my god.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, they looked at me like,
What?
What's inserts? Oh, you know, and I said, so then I told them, I said, now listen,
Oh man.
I know how companies work, and it was a greenleaf cutter, right? So I said, if you guys bought all this stuff, they sent you the inserts with it, you know. I mean, they don't put them in the,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
They sent you the inserts, so me and one of their maintenance guys go around this huge complex, and we finally find a building, and he says, I think maybe, you know, and I go up there, and I spotted right away, I spotted Kearney and Tricker, the drive belts, extra belts, you know, because they send the machine overseas.
They send a bunch of extra stuff.
They're going to send, because you're not going to call them up and get parts, you know, instead all kinds of extra stuff there. And then I find these boxes of inserts, you know, here, you know, put these, you know,
Oh my god.
and then the next day I come, they're cutting away, you know, everything is, then they're all happy, you know. And then the guy comes.
That must have been that must have been sold by the best salesman Kearney and Tricker ever had, because how do you sell a machine like that to somebody who has no idea what they're doing, that they don't know that to put the inserts in
you
the
know
cutter?
who sold them? We sold them to the Japanese.
The Japanese sold them
Japanese sold them to the Egyptians. And then and the Egyptian guy says, "Oh, you're very good engineer. You stay 1 year." And I'm like, where's the American consulate? and this is this. I go to the airport. I'm going home. All right, I'm going to fly from Cairo to Frankfurt. I think I was going from Cairo to Frankfurt. 7:47. I got to get on the airplane at 11:45, whatever it was. So I'm at the airport and got my passport and everything, and some guy comes and he says, "You come with me. You come with me." You know, okay, I go with him. Come, little room, sit down. I sit down. Guy walks in, got a little machine gun, sits right there. And I'm like, "Hey, how's it going?" You know, I'm like, you know, "What is this?" You know, of course he doesn't speak any English, you know. And I'm like, yeah, it's okay, you know. And I'm like, and I'm watching the clock, and the airplane is supposed to take off at 11:45 or whatever, you know. It's 10 to 12, it's 5 to 12, it's 12 o'clock. You know, finally somebody opens the door, come, you know. I go with them, and they got, now this is a 747. It's on the end of the runway, running, waiting for yours truly. The only person left to get on that airplane. They take me down there with one of those cars with a ladder about 80 feet long. Get all the way down there, open the door, raise that thing. I gotta crawl up this ladder, get on the airplane, and I got 200 people looking at me like, "What the hell are you?" We're waiting here on the tarmac for 15 minutes. I sit down. I never knew what that was about.
Never knew what that was
Never
about?
knew what that was about. No. And a week later, they pulled a CIA agent off of there, and he was going from Athens to Cairo, and he was some type of agent, and he got shot. You know,
Wow.
I don't know what was going on at that time. It wasn't, you know, really, there wasn't really a lot of turmoil there, but
There's always been turmoil
always been, yeah.
in Egypt,
But, you know, some of those, and you know, and then they said, "Okay, we're going to take you to the job site, but you're not supposed to look out the car window," you know. Like,
we go by
Hood over your head.
Put a hood,
we
yeah.
go by this place, and there's Russian helicopters, all burnt, all burnt up. You know, there's jeeps and trucks all piled up, all burnt. You know, from the war that they had with Israel. A few, yeah. Don't look, don't look. That's all the junk they. And then when I get to the gate, there's like 10 people that work at the gate. You know, letting people in there. Now, everybody in Egypt has a job for life. If you get a job there, they can't fire you. You got a job for life. When I get to the gate, every one of those people has to come and take a look. Hey, how are you this morning? Hey, how's it going? Everybody's got out before I can go in there, you know. Oh, it was a nightmare. I told the company when I come back, you're never sending me a place like that again. I'm not going, you know.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So, anyways, enough stories. Get to work.
Well, back to work on my straight edge. I lost track of just how many passes I had taken up to this point, but if I had to guess, I'm probably 8-9 passes in. I'm at the point now, though, where I've got some coverage across the entire surface, so I'm doing more spot scraping. I'm looking for the larger areas of blue and putting the scraping there. I'm not looking for individual pieces of blue, but in those areas where there is some blue, I'm scraping in that general vicinity. But if there's an area where there's not a lot of blue, I'm staying away from it.
And plug.
Yeah, I think that came loose out of there. It's you.
Yeah, who shall it be? This is Kyle. Not really, but it depends on what it is. What's wrong with it? The what? The lift? Like the cam lift? Okay. Like the lifters? Oh, okay. They like a lot of machine shops, they're not gonna like pull the car in and do it. Like they would just work on just the engine part. You know what I mean? Like you'd have to bring them to heads. I don't have a good recommendation for a shop to do something like that. I just have a good shop that specializes in head rebuilding and block stuff and that kind of stuff. Yeah. So typically, the way that most shops would handle something like this, what year is it? Okay. How many miles are on it? Right. So most shops, and again, there's no point for me to tell you this other than I'm just trying to help you out here. They'll just put a new engine in, right? Because it's not worth the time with that kind of mileage to rebuild the up end of that engine when you got 170 miles, on it. But what they would have done like 20 years ago is just take it to any automotive shop and they would machine shop, which will just do the head. So they'll like bring it there in the back of their truck, they'll machine it, and then they'll bring it back to the auto shop, and the auto shop will assemble it. And nowadays, people do that, right? I have a shop that does that, but they don't do it like they used to. I mean, there's probably was 30 shops like that in the past, and there's a couple left because people are just throwing a junkyard engine in it, or you know, yeah, it's just not working. I don't. Yeah, I don't. The problem is there's a pretty wide array of. Let's say two fly shots. If you're like, hey, we need to put an engine in it. I would put it.
Well, I figured it was my turn to give the power scraper a try. Not on the straight edge, but on Ron's practice piece here that he has out for us. Well, if you've watched guys like Keith Rucker or Lance Baltzley or Adam Booth use their power scrapers, they really do make it look easy. And it's really a lot more unwieldy than I was expecting. The machine itself is heavy. It's not terribly heavy, but it's heavy. And holding it at the right angle and moving it at the right speed is something that's going to take just a little bit of practice.
Like that. All right.
This thing wants to move. I'm gonna move to the middle
Yeah, good idea.
where it doesn't bounce on me. Oh my. I am not going to use this on my straight edge. The stroke seems really short.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out how to adjust it. You remember how to
The
adjust
stroke
the stroke?
seems really short. Well, that's not good. I feel like we need to adjust the stroke length. It seems like it's too short.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to do. When I googled it, it said something about pushing that all the way forward, and then there was an adjustment in that down in that hole, possibly.
Oh, that ain't gonna. This one ain't gonna work.
Is that the same? That one's thicker.
Yeah. Somebody made this one.
Or they modified it severely.
Yeah. Let me go get I got a couple more in there. Take some stock off of this baby. Get a little practice here. Okay.
Too big. That's too big.
Wait a minute.
So it's probably a 7. Because we got 6 and we got 8. Oh wait a minute, maybe it is a 6. Yeah, that.
Oh, okay, you're getting
But
something.
now what do you do?
I don't know. Adjust it and try it. See if
All
it doesn't bounce as far.
all I did was turn it a little bit.
See if this. Oh yeah, it moves shorter now, right?
Yeah, that's shorter now. Yeah,
So
turn
go
it the other way.
Come back here. Now that's shorter. I went that way. So now let's go. Which way did I go?
Now you're, yeah, go that way.
No, I want to go the other way. Right?
No.
Okay, that's one full turn clockwise. Okay, that's more.
How we looking there?
Yeah, that looks longer. Yeah.
Oh, see how it goes out forward? This is moving forward as you're.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm turning it.
What do you think, Ron? Roll with this?
No, that's awesome.
I know it's a little on the heavy side on the ink, but
That might be too far because I think it's hitting something in there.
it's jumping past the
try
travel.
it. Try it on there.
Take it down a quarter turn.
There it is.
Oh,
Oh yeah, you're
fast.
taking some material.
That's pretty good though.
wow. I think
That's
that
a
really.
monster, right?
Oh my gosh, it's so hard to control.
Well, it's practice control.
Yeah, I'm not going to use this on my straight edge just yet.
Oh, come on.
I'm happy to use that on mine. I use that on this.
Yeah, there's no way I'd take it to that.
You're not
Yeah.
as crazy as I am.
You got more guts. Well, maybe crazy guts. Maybe they're the same thing. Maybe there's some.
That don't look too bad though. Let me see
But this thing gets away from you quick.
It does, yeah, it does.
I want one.
Imagine how much faster it is if you could do it, you know?
Look how easy he makes it. He's actually going in straight lines.
Well, I mean, he's been doing this for, I don't know, 50, 60 years. He's been doing it for, what, 5 minutes?
I should be an expert though.
Yeah.
The internet makes it look easy.
Yeah.
I would need to have a sling to put that on my shoulders to hold up the
It's
weight.
a lot of weight.
Do this and now.
I'm gonna ruin up your fish hooks there.
Yeah. There you go. Look at that.
Oh, yeah, you're an expert. You got that.
What's the spell?
That was just paper.
That is quite a bit to handle.
The hand gets sore.
Doing this, or you start doing this, look what happens when you just rock it a little bit. I'm just trying to do straight line. But, you know, I'm just doing a straight line here. But now I start rocking it a little bit, not over, just doing your straight line, you know, your straight line like you were doing over here, you know, just straight. That far apart. Look, see what's happening every once in a while? And I'm not really even trying to rock it. But every once in a while you'll get one like that. Just do it straight line, and then keep practicing that straight line, and then get them all even, you know,
Right.
nice and straight. They're all together. Go down here, make another line.
And that's just going to be hours and hours and hours of practice to get consistency. Because that's what I don't have right now, is I don't have a lot of consistency. And so I'm losing.
I can't use that. I use a regular stone. You try to go in between. See that? Try to go in between each one you make.
Okay, so you put one here on one row, then the other one goes between those
Try
two?
it. Yeah, you try. Yeah, I mean, as close as you can, you know, practice getting at that. Once you get it down and you're doing that all the time, without, you don't have to put a lot of pressure on this one. It's pretty decent, you know.
Trying to figure out the best. See, I don't like it in my hip. I like it in my arm. So with this in here, I'm kind of using my body weight to kind of rock forward to do the. And maybe that's wrong.
No, you know, I don't like it in my hip anymore either, because it gives me a, you know, now I got a hernia and I got varicose veins, and you know, so a guy really shouldn't be, you know.
I'll get the hang of it.
Well, I made it back home safe and sound, and this is where I left the straight edge. One of the first things I did when I got home was to build this fixture or jig or whatever you want to call it that'll make it easier to hold the straight edge as I continue scraping on it. I also made up some marking dye after I got a second-hand tip from Kyle. He saw it somewhere else. This is 30 weight oil with concrete dye mixed in it. I made up a red batch for the contrast and then the blue for the marking compound. Ron was gracious enough to gift me this hand scraper. I am going to continue using this to finish out the work on the straight edge. I have this piece of A2 tool steel that I'm going to use to make a couple of new blades with different radii, and I still have that piece of carbide blade that Ron gave me, and I figure I can probably make some kind of a holder for this to hold that carbide. We'll have to wait until I get a better grinding setup. I have an old treadmill motor which I think will make a pretty good diamond lap. Well, that's it for this video. I'll try to post some updates from time to time as I make some more progress on the straight edge. But I had a blast, and I couldn't be more grateful to Ron for inviting us up to share a little bit about what he knows.